Ecpat was started by Asian activists who identified large numbers of children being sold into the sex trade, partly to meet the demand from foreigners traveling to their countries to exploit their children. They went around the world, including the U.S., to ask for our support to stop this terrible abuse of children. We were absolutely outraged and knew something had to be done, so we created Ecpat-Usa. Over the years, the campaign expanded. Ecpat now works all over the world to end all forms of child sexual exploitation, including prostitution, pornography, and trafficking. Our long-term objectives are to make sure that every exploited child is treated with the care and support he or she needs, rather than as a criminal, and to prevent the exploitation from happening in the first place. To reach these objectives, we have a host of shorter-term objectives. They include passing safe harbor laws in every state, advocating for protective services everywhere, training public and private sector workers on what to look for and properly treating and referring sexually exploited children, and finally, to build a core of youth knowledgeable about their rights and who can inform their peers about the issue. This requires a constant drumbeat of awareness raising and education for all sectors of society. There are many organizations working against human trafficking, but Ecpat-Usa uniquely focuses only on children. Why is this important? When human trafficking legislation is passed at the state level, it's a good thing, but it doesn't ensure that children's special needs are protected. For children, we have to pass safe harbor laws. These laws, when properly written, require children to be referred for protective services, not treated as criminals. It takes a special focus on children to identify the difference. Ecpat-Usa builds an advocacy agenda for children within the broader human trafficking community. Ecpat-Usa is modest in size but big in impact. It's not necessary to spend a lot of money to shift the paradigm for how sexually exploited children are treated. We're experts at identifying how existing systems can be changed to do a better job at child protection. We get the private sector to use their own resources to educate their staff, create protocols for preventing sexual exploitation of children, and raise awareness within their business community. Because of our success in using money effectively, the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation awarded Ecpat its International Humanitarian Prize. At Ecpat-Usa, we count how many people saw our training videos. We also track the number of people we spoke to about the issues surrounding the sexual exploitation of children. At a national level, we monitor how many laws were passed that we helped influence. Additionally, we track how companies have implemented our code of conduct. As of 2013, we've persuaded 17 American companies, including some of the nation's largest hotel chains and airlines, to sign our Tourism Child Protection Code of Conduct. Companies that sign the code voluntarily agree to take steps to prevent sexual exploitation on their premises and to report once a year about their efforts. While everyone understands that abused prepubescent children should be protected, this isn't always so for adolescent children. They're often seen as having chosen the life of exploitation. We focus on educating the public about these children's lives and the abuse and neglect in their histories. These vulnerable children are targeted by pimps and traffickers who use manipulation and coercion to lure them into prostitution. As one pimp said, "These girls have been raped so many times, well, it's my job to convince them that they might as well get paid for it." Our awareness programs focus on informing people that sexually exploited teens need help and protection, and our criminal justice system must respond by stopping the buyers and pimps. We were the first organization to understand and speak out against child sexual exploitation, and we have many accomplishments. We won passage of the first sex tourism law in the U.S. in 1994, making it possible to prosecute Americans in the U.S. for abusing children in other countries. We launched the Tourism Child Protection Code of Conduct in North America, the first and only internationally recognized corporate code of conduct that addresses child sex trafficking. We developed the first federally funded human trafficking task force. And we convinced the Department of the Army to initiate the first training program for service members on the health, legal, diplomatic, and moral dangers of child sexual exploitation. Sometimes the public misunderstands our advocacy work. I like to use this story to describe what we do. A man is standing next to a river when a drowning child floats past. He jumps in and saves her. No sooner are they out of the water when another drowning child floats past. He saves him too, and then another and another. All day he stands next to the river rescuing children. At the end of the day he decides, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up the river and find out why all these children are falling in, and I'm going to do something to stop it. That's what we do. We go up the river to the source of the problem to make sure that children don't fall in. We need additional resources to bolster our advocacy around the very real but invisible problem of commercial sexual exploitation of boys. Boys are bought and sold in the commercial sex market, possibly in numbers equal to girls, as demonstrated in our report called And Boys Too. But we need to increase the visibility of this issue, conduct research, and develop services specific to this population. This difficult issue is highly stigmatized and hidden, and it will take a great deal of collaborative work among our organizations to address it. We also need additional resources to expand our youth committee so that young leaders are educated about their right to grow up free from commercial sexual exploitation. One existing gap is the need to develop educational programming around the demand side of child sexual exploitation. The reason children are lured, recruited, and sold into the sex market is because there are buyers. With additional resources, we could create a collaborative of researchers to examine the demand side and begin to build a research-based agenda to end it. Another gap is the growth of online exploitation of children. The Internet and mobile technology have led to new forms of child exploitation. With new resources, we could build a high-tech response to keep children safe.